I would still not choose that lens, I guess. That's the thing. No, I wouldn't do it. Hey everyone, here's I'm packaging this lens, and in the meantime I'm going to talk about it a little bit and share a few experiences and say a few things that may be helpful for you. And this is the second attempt at me. Well, not the second attempt. This is the second time I bought this lens, and I'm selling it again. Actually, I have sold it. And this, you would think that this is a really usable lens, and this may actually be the only lens that you might need. This is a Lumix, so if you're into L mount, this is the most popular lens, I guess. This is a 24-105 Lumix f4, optically stabilized and everything. And you might actually think that this is the only lens that you need, like I said, because 24 millimeters to 105 is pretty much all that you need, especially if you're doing videos. I already had this lens once. This is the second time that I own this lens, like I said, and I'm getting rid of it. Stepped into the same trap, I guess, 2 times. First of all, it's a fairly affordable lens. That's one thing, and at least it was in the past. These days everything is super expensive. These are under $1,000 these days, so it's not a whole lot for something like this. So the reasons are, well, of course, you would want to have ideally those lenses that you're using. You don't want something that you just keep on the shelf and never use. And this is the case with this lens. It's something that I, again, expected to be on my camera like most of the time, but that never happened. And it's a little bit strange because like I said, 24 millimeters to 105, that sounds like a perfect focal length. So a couple of things. One of them is f4. f4 is actually not enough. f4 aperture is not really, as photographers say, is not bright enough. Yeah, that's packaged pretty good. It's just a little bit too dark in some situations. And so any f2.8 lenses, that's what I find more usable. Or if you zoom lenses, or if you go into primes, Lumix has most of the prime lenses, and a lot of prime lenses in f1.8. And yes, primes are not zooms, so they might not be actually that convenient. Well, you kind of have to swap lenses in those situations. That's why 24 to 105 is perfect. But again, that f4 is just, I find that to be lacking in a lot of cases. So what I'm doing now is just a bit of an experience that may be useful. This is a 3M Scotch tape that says check seal before accepting. I always do this when I sell something, so the buyer, when the buyer receives this package, this is basically tamper proof. I have had an incident when a box arrived, an empty box arrived, and it was just a disaster. Basically, it was a lot of headache to deal with, because yeah, the buyer claimed that the box was empty, and I definitely did not send an empty box. Check seal before accepting, so an extremely useful tape that you also should have or use if you sell things on eBay or in other places. And the last thing is that this lens is actually large. It's uncomfortable. I found this to be way too big, oversized basically for this camera. I have a small camera. I'm not using anything large. It's not an S. Even S5 is bigger than this one. So if you have a large camera and you have a large lens, you may actually be handling that well. But I always wanted and always liked to use small cameras and small lenses, and that small camera with this large lens, I always felt it as uncomfortable handling wise. And I, like I said, I quite often actually sacrifice that good lens with all that size and, well, with the option, I guess the range and f4, constant f4, and all to this little tiny thing that I also have 18 to 40 f4.5 to 6.3. So that's really dim. But this is super compact, and it is actually feels really nice and comfortable on this camera. Collapsible lens, but the thing is that again, 4.5 and 6.3, and 18 is good. 18 millimeter side is good. 40 is kind of too short, so I find lenses of this size to be more useful and easier to handle. And I guess if you're into a professional filmmaking, that's a different thing. But then you wouldn't have a small, tiny camera like what I have here. In any case, that's getting rid of this, and I don't think I will buy this lens ever again, because I just don't find it to be that useful. And like I said, it's been sitting on my shelf and just gathering dust. And so that's basically the things. The lens is, I mean, it's a good lens, but it's a f4 is quite often not enough, and it's big, large, and difficult or uncomfortable in many situations. I mean, if I had no options or no choices, I would probably, or if I just needed one lens, nothing else, I would still not choose that lens. I guess that's the thing. No, I wouldn't do it. So that's why I packaged that lens, and I'm going to get to the post office and drop it off.